دون علوا في الأرض ولا فسادا والعاقبة للمتقين. I'm being asked to move all of you forward, so move forward as much as you can. Allah says that next home that He built, heaven, He made it for people who don't want to feel superior in this earth. They don't have a desire for ulu. They don't want to make themselves feel or give the impression that somebody else is little compared to them, lesser compared to them. They don't want that. And there are sometimes among us, maybe ourselves, because of our religious knowledge, because of our religious position, because of our religious perception of others, we do start thinking we're better than somebody else. We do become condescending towards others. This is the first example. People who actually think they're in light and they're doing good. But you're like a person in the desert. You're going to die of dehydration. And when you get there, what you think is water, meaning you think you're going to go to heaven and be replenished for all the deeds you did, all you find there is Allah who says, actually, you did everything else on the outside, but there was no light inside of you. That you don't get anything here. Allah is going to quickly take your account. You and I have to become people of introspection. Whether or not people praise you and me means nothing. As a matter of fact, whether or not people criticize you and me also means nothing. You have to be able to ask yourself, if Allah was to ask me right now what I'm doing is right or wrong, am I able to answer Him? Am I doing right by Allah? Because He's who are dead already. They're dead already. They have no light left inside them. Allah will mention people whose hearts have turned into stone. And if your heart is stone, that means if there's light inside it, it can't get out. Right? It's dead. There's no way it can get out. What happens to those people? When they suffocate themselves, knowingly they suffocate the light inside of themselves, what happens to them? Allah says, وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. That's the last thing I want to share with you. When that happens, how do you know that's happened to you? You will know that's happened to you when those things that are evil, that even though they're attractive and they're tempting and you're drawn to them, there's still some part of you that feels bad, right? When that's gone and it only looks beautiful, you justify it to yourself. Not only forget that it's one thing to say, I know it's bad, I know I'm messed up, but I still do it. I need to stop. That's one thing. That means you still have some light left. At least you recognize that it's what? Bad. But when the light is completely gone, then it's زَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. You don't see it as bad anymore. Now that's amazing. What do you mean it's bad? We're having a good time. What do you mean it's bad? You don't want me to live my life? What do you mean it's bad? That's awesome. That's like the reason we're alive. Your definition changes. You're no longer guilty. You don't even feel bad. You're actually now glorifying the sin that you're engaged in. You're glorifying the darkness. That's become beautiful to you. And that's when, instead of the definition of beauty and ugliness coming from Allah, based on the light that He gave you, now those definitions come to you from shaitan. Now that's a lost cause. That's beyond hope, And I pray Allah never lets us fall into that. Sometimes there may be you and I may be doing something evil. Even Allah and His Messenger and the light that we sent down. Allah calls the Quran light. It's not an accident. He calls it light because my engagement with Allah's words, that's Allah talking to me. It's not just a book. It's not just something I recite. It's Allah talking to me. When Allah talks to me, then that light inside me gets stronger. Because that itself is light. Those words themselves are light from Allah Azza wa Jal. My iman will be restored. My vision for what is right and wrong will be restored again when I keep coming back to Allah's book and keep coming back to Allah's book. But that coming back to Allah's book cannot be artificial. It can't just be that I recite it and I put it down. It can't just be that I read its translation to argue with my friends about what this verse means or that verse means. It can't be for that. It has to be, Ya Allah, I need light for myself. Give me light in your words. That's the humble, begging attitude of a slave with which I must come to the word of Allah. Even the word of Allah, subhanAllah, it's the word that's supposed to make me humble. Today, you and I approach it as something as a tool for argument. Or we study it as something interesting. Or we study it as a casual pastime. We don't think of it as a lifeline. We don't think of it, this is me, this is Allah talking to me. This is Allah giving me value, addressing me, a letter, what He calls risalati Rabbi, letters from my master. Literally, messages, letters from my master. Like, you know when somebody writes you a personal note and you're like, wow, they took the time? That's Allah to you in the Quran. And if you can develop that, then that light will not become weak. Allah will not let it become weak. May Allah Azza wa Jal connect us deeply, our hearts with the Quran, and maintain that source of light for us. May Allah Azza wa Jal